Merry Christmas. My name is Lannon Martin, and I am the senior pastor at Grace Lutheran Church in Woodbridge. And I am excited to be taking part in the CareNet 12 Stories of Christmas this year. And I would like to share with you the reason why I personally became passionate about life issues in general. Now, when I was a little bit younger and in one of the first congregations that I served in another state, I was shaking hands with people after church one day, which is a very typical thing that happens at your local church. And there was a lady, a very nice lady, who asked me if we were going to have a Sunday about life, a life Sunday coming up that year. And she said she just really wanted to know when it was going to be. And I had no plans for this, honestly. I hadn't thought about it. I didn't know a lot about life issues in general. I hadn't done a lot of research. I knew what I believed, but from there, I just hadn't gone any deeper than that. And since this lady asked, and I really liked this lady, I did some research. I did some reading. I talked to some people I really trusted on these issues, and I planned a Life Sunday. And a couple of weeks later, when I was ready, the lady, same lady in the handshake line after church again, asked me in follow up if I was going to have a Life Sunday planned that year. And I told her I was. I was excited to tell her. And she took the date from me. She wrote it down on her bulletin when she went home. And I started to get really excited about this. The day was planned. There was some special stuff going on, a different speaker, kind of a reception, some refreshments and things after the service. And as the date got closer, the lady was clearly, I assumed, very excited. She was asking me, making sure which date it was and so forth. And I shared that with her. And then finally the day comes. And I was all excited. This was something that I worked really hard on. This was something that I knew there was at least one person in the congregation that was really excited about also. And the Sunday went great. It really was neat. It got people thinking about things in a whole new way and understanding kind of a Christian concept of what it means to be created in the image of God and the ways that we're called as Christians to protect and preserve the life that God creates. There was only one problem. The lady, the one that started it all, she wasn't in church that day. And I was kind of crushed. It went terrific. Things couldn't have gone any better. And yet the lady that I planned it for, she just wasn't there. Now, I was a little worried about this because she asked me a number of times. She seemed really interested. She started it all. And so I made the effort to actually go over to her house. I had been there a couple of times with her and her family, and I wanted to check in. I was worried that she was sick or some kind of illness or injury or emergency had come up. And when I knocked on the door, she came to the door, and she clearly had been drinking heavily. And this was just maybe noon, 1 o'clock on a Sunday, and she was very clearly really pretty inebriated. And she explained to me right there on the front porch that she had asked me if we were having a Life Sunday and when it was in follow up, not to make sure that she would be there, but to make sure that she would not be there. You see, this woman who was probably by this point about 50 years old, she had had an abortion in high school, and she was struggling with extreme guilt every day of her life ever since. And she was more than 35, almost 40 years past this, and it still was something that hung heavy on her heart every single day. And now, in that situation, I learned something. I learned that when we talk about life issues, when we talk about abortion, when we talk about preserving the things that God has made in his image, we are talking about not only that new, precious, young life that's at stake, but we are talking about much further outreaching potential damage and brokenness that just is simply never talked about. And I learned that if this woman, this wonderful lady, could carry this for all these years, that there must be so many people in our communities that are really suffering, that need us to be there for them and to do everything we can to present or prevent these situations from happening in the future. So I was able to speak with her in a way that Christians do that day and remind her that that concept, that wonderful thing that we remember in this Advent season as we get closer to Christmas, that God sent his son, that the King of Angels left his throne to suffer and die here in the world to bring healing in the midst of brokenness, even the most difficult brokenness, to bring forgiveness for any situation that we can mess up, and to ultimately bring a peace that just simply can't come from anywhere else. And I think that I'm very thankful to be able to be a part of supporting an organization like CareNet, because the the organizations and the people that make up the kingdom of God are the ones that can breathe that peace in broken places and can remind people just what's at stake in talking about their life mattering to the creator and the author of life and the universe. And so I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you all join me in making these issues something that's important to you, because it's something that certainly takes a toll on our community. So blessings as you celebrate, and I hope to see you someday.